Interview, take one.
Alright.
Hey, we're queer. We're here. This is Tori. Tori Poor.
Hi. Happy to be here.
This beautiful wall of boobs.
Yes. My pronouns are she. Queer to me is an expression of just like getting everything inside of you and like making sense of it. Like I was just like a gymnast, did well in school, giggled a lot, had really awesome friends, you know, but I just didn't I always felt like I always wanted to be different and I didn't know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
I always had to, I guess now it's called being extra. I didn't know what that meant.
Take two.
This is how like much I wasn't informed about my own body though, was that there was a time in 9th grade where I thought that I had a deformed vagina. Like I did not know that there was a set of lips, like inner lips and outer lips.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that I had like two vaginas. And
Wow.
it wasn't until, and I hadn't got my period yet either, so it wasn't until, like, I asked a friend that I was comfortable with, like, hey, can you, like, look at this and, like, tell me if I'm okay?
That's amazing.
And
I
she
can
was
say
like,
I was there with you. Actually.
Yeah, I definitely had a
Okay,
sense
good.
that mine looked, like, totally different than anybody
Right.
else's.
Or wrong.
Which is true,
yeah, and
but...
I mean, I think
yeah.
that everyone's is different, and that's, like, the glory of it, but at the same time, we're not educated, and so that's really important, I think, moving forward, especially if that's our job, that's fine, but I think that just, like, letting everyone know that they are different, that's okay, you know, and they, you know, it's not weird, it's, like, beautiful and all that kind of stuff, because I was definitely weirded out by mine for a long time.
Yeah, I can definitely say that in health class, I learned so much about my uterus and my fallopian tubes and the function of my sexual organs as a
means to make a child.
exactly,
Yeah.
and then
Very robotic.
then they moved on to the penis and the
And how that is used to make a child
Right.
with
yes.
a vagina.
We, you know, my health teacher in high school did put a condom on a banana. Actually, it was one of those children's toy things where you have the rings and then the pole.
Get out.
And she had just,
What?
she just had the pole part, not the ring part.
Right.
Can someone fire this teacher? Wow.
It was
my
creative.
Jada
At
teacher
least it
needed
wasn't
me.
a banana.
Wow.
But she identified, like, this is very odd that I'm using a children's toy to show you, but, like,
Oh, she
it's
did
the only thing that, like,
realize that. And
Which also is like a giant butt plug.
basically,
Yeah.
a cylindrical butt plug. Yeah.
multi-uses,
Yeah.
Not only a children's plaything.
Have you ever been someone's first sexual experience?
No, I haven't.
Not even your first time?
My first time was when I was 18. I had waited with my partner, who I ended up marrying. I think that I was afraid to have sex, honestly, because I think of the sheltered life that I did have. I mean, we talked about, my mom, you know, of course, was open with me about what I wanted to talk about, but I think I was very much, like, shy about anything sexual. I was terrified of getting pregnant. I was terrified of having to use a condom, because I didn't know how. I was terrified of it hurting. And even though my partner was very gentle, like he was, I mean, I was also terrified of his penis, to be honest. I mean, I had never seen one. It was huge to me, and now knowing other penises, like, it was a giant penis. It was like, you know, like, the first one, it probably would have felt, you know, a little bit more intense than, yeah. So, I don't know, I think that all that leading up to who I did finally have, you know, my first experience with was kind of anticlimactic, you know, because I was with this person for about 6 months, and this was an abusive relationship, emotionally. We were drinking one night, and, you know, he, like, I barely remember it, and, I mean, we ended up having sex, and I just thought, well, it's okay because we're together, you know? And now knowing that, I mean, that wasn't okay because it was still him taking my first experience away from, like, me being present for it, you know? I didn't tell him to stop, but in my head, it was like, well...
But you never said yes.
No. I mean, it wasn't a thing that we decided to do together. After all that time waiting, you would think, like, it would be obvious that was not the way that it was that I ever wanted to go down, and with my... you know, vulnerability at the time from being, like, 18 and drunk, like, just not, and he was 10 years older than me, so it was just, like, very strange. So that was my personal first experience. I've never been anyone else's. I wish that I could have shared that with somebody that was as vulnerable as I was, but...
Or someone who recognized your vulnerability and didn't take advantage of it.
Right. How afraid I was and how long I waited. Like, I could have easily been helped if I had asked for it, or if somebody had taught me or shared their experiences with me. I don't know if I ever even had anyone that was, like, talking to me about their experiences of their first time. I've always been very emotional. My ex-husband, I never had an orgasm the whole time I was with him, because I think that him going into sex was very just, like, physical, and mine's very emotional and mental. So I think that, and I just thought, like, for the longest time I just thought that's what sex was just, like, the act of doing it.
Penetration.
Right. And that's it. And I never really felt, I mean, yeah, of course, like, things felt good, but they never felt, like, I was never reaching any sort of euphoric moment where I was like, oh, this is, like, what making love is like. So it wasn't until the partner that I'm with now that there was an emotional connection. I felt safe, I felt respected, and I felt like, you know, if either of us wanted to explore other things, that it was very mutual, that we wanted to be like that. And so I feel like now I define that experience by just being, you know, it's like that connection that you feel, and it's like a safe feeling while, you know, the physical act of being with each other. Because I'll have, like, there will be moments where there's no penetration happening, but I'll feel, like, that euphoric moment just from, like, I don't know, it's like a heart-to-heart situation where you feel like where you can't really breathe just because you feel like they're feeling that same exact thing in that same exact moment. Usually for me,
that,
it's
like a mental or emotional
orgasm. It really is. It's like a lot of the times it comes from just, like, touching in, like, one moment while I'm kissing. And in that moment, I'm like, okay, we're intertwined. Like, we are feeling the same thing right now. It's really cool. I love it. I'm a very sexual person, too. Like, I mean, I get, you know, I'm easily turned on. I'm usually wanting to have sex, like, more than he is. Like, I'm ready. And I think that he's tired a lot of times, and I'm just like, But I mean, we're both sexual people. I think that we have, like, a healthy sexual relationship, which I think, for me personally, is important just because I am a sexual person. But I'm also very emotional, so.
Speaking of emotions, name the 2 most dangerous emotions.
Oh, God. There's so many emotions. Is lust an emotion?
I think lust is driven by other emotions.
Jealousy. Cut to commercial. The most dangerous emotion. What are emotions? I have so many.
Brought to you by Red Cups.
And sweaty hands.
You can drink water out of them.
Well, it's like, we were talking about this with Graciela, or who it was Colette.
Yeah.
For instance, she was saying that her mother always said that anger is a secondary emotion. You always have to think about, why am I angry? If you can ask, why am I feeling lustful, or why am I feeling jealous, what's behind that? And those may be similar things, and that might be your answer.
Yeah, I think
Doesn't have to be.
I'm, like, really baffled that I'm having this much of an issue with, like, names of emotions.
Emotions are really
like,
hard
other
to,
than, like, happiness and sadness, you know.
Yeah.
What about nervousness?
I think like fear is the base of nervousness. Yeah.
So fear is obviously dangerous.
Yeah. What are the emotions?
Yeah,
Sadness, happy. Fear.
Yeah. What are the 7 dwarves?
I think if there were, like, a tree,
Sleepy.
it would be sad and happy. Would be, like, at the base of the
stem
tree, and then everything off of sad is fear and disappointment.
I know a lot of people who are afraid to be happy.
Well, I guess that would be some kind of Venn diagram.
Yeah. 2 branches reaching out to each other.
Make a PowerPoint. These are the emotions we're talking about.
Yeah,
pick 2.
Somebody needs to. Like, this is like when a cartoon pops up in the middle of this
like there's
segment.
the emotional birdie.
Emotions.
Yeah.
Oh.
Huh.
So going off of that,
We can move on.
What's your best pickup line?
Oh my God.
If you have one.
Gosh, I mean, I don't know. I just, like, immediately think, like, how you doing? But, like, I literally, like, my pickup line, honestly, is me doing a weird voice. I do that when I'm nervous around somebody. Not all the time. Like, sometimes I do it just for fun. It probably would come out as, like, how are you? Or I would say a compliment with, like, some weird voice because I'm nervous. And
like, those shoes make you look tall. How important is sex in your relationships?
If I was with somebody that I saw a future with, then it would outweigh sex. Sex is important to me because I'm a sexual person, but I can take care of that in other ways.
How do you interact with eroticism?
It's like, in my head is kind of always, like, the best way for me, so I guess reading it, but I don't think I've really ever read something, like, I've never walked down that path. I'm sure I would enjoy that, I think, a little bit more, because in my head it makes me feel most comfortable. Watching it kind of makes me uncomfortable because I don't want to go through, like, all these things to find the one that, like, makes me feel comfortable, because some of them make me feel uncomfortable and then I can't get those images out of my head. If there was a way, it would be either reading, or sometimes, like, I'll be watching a good movie and, like, the way that they put it in the movie will turn me on, and then I'll have that, you know. I don't, like, sit there and rewind it and watch it over and over again, but, like, that. Do you?
Oh, yeah.
I have not tried that, but I feel like that will put, like, an idea in my head, and then, like, that's a storyline, and, like, I don't mind watching the whole movie to get to this, like, 15-second
it's like
part.
Foreplay.
Yeah, it really is, but you don't even know it coming. It kind of sideswipes you, and you can see it, like, build up, and then it's just, like, there, and then you're like, oh, and they have all this energy, and then you kind of can, you know, pick your path. Had a situation where I just kicked somebody out, and that felt not good, but, like, that's how I would handle it, you know, if it happened again. The old space was very small already, so we were doing, like, a little shoot in there, and some older woman walked in, and all she was doing was giving glares and looks, and I said, ma'am, if you're not comfortable, you can go. Well, I came to shop. Okay, well, that's fine. Let me know if you have any questions. So keep shooting, and she said something like, you think that what you're doing is okay? And I said, ma'am, please leave. We're not comfortable now. Now you've made us uncomfortable. Please leave. And I just assumed always it was because she just looked at us and thought that we were just these, like, gay people doing photo shoots, you know, in these clothes, and that we were just so wrong to her. I don't know why, but that was the vibe that I got from that. Other than that, like, the most aggressive thing that happened was somebody threw a bag of rice at my old shop.
Like just a bag
of rice with a flyer in it.
The KKK. Yeah,
that said that. Yeah, and it was very aggressive towards. It was, like, very homophobic.
Yeah, there's a pretty active chapter of KKK in our area.
And it was scary because I was the only one on my strip that got that thrown at the doorstep.
Yeah, it happened at my house. It was a Ziploc bag, and it had rice in it. And my flyer said it was something about cross burnings. It had, like, a visual representation of a black person as, like, an animal, I think a monkey.
Yeah, mine had like a gorilla or something on it.
Yeah. Welcome to the South.
Wow.
But that was scary. That was the most aggressive, and obviously there was no way for me to handle that in the moment because it was just done to me. But
it's like an emotional racist hit and run.
Yeah, but definitely gave me like, it was like just a very, very, very tiny taste of what it would, you know, the hate that happens daily, you know.
Yeah.
Just to be able to witness something like that. It's like, well, that's not, I mean, that really happens. It's the first time I'd ever...
Do you have queer identified family members?
Growing up, I had an aunt that is, well, she just passed 2 months ago, but she was lesbian. She was very, like, she always looked like she was ready for an adventure, utilitarian almost.
APD, all-purpose dyke.
Yeah. I felt like at any point ever she would have, like, whatever anyone needed just to, like,
lesbian MacGyver.
Yeah, literally.
I don't use lipstick, but I have 4 shades.
Yeah. But with that being said, I didn't know that she was a lesbian until my teens. she really didn't talk about it. I think that she was a great role model just as far as being like a strong, woman to me. So I had that, and I think that was important whether or not I knew her, sexual preferences then. They made sense like later going forward. And then my stepdad's brother, who I didn't really get introduced to until, like 10 years ago maybe. He's an old queen. He just recently died this year too.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But he was just, he was just amazing and made me feel like I wasn't like the weird black sheep in the family. Not that, my family's been accepted. I'm very, fortunate to have that. But my immediate family anyway.
What is your most profound queer experience? Was it provided or created? And how did you feel in that space?
I immediately went to like an experimental time that I like the only
that could be
experimental time. I can give you two answers. In high school was not a safe space. Was at a party, decided to hook up, with one of my girlfriends just because we didn't know, like we were like best friends and we didn't know if we liked each other, in what way we liked each other. So we decided to experiment with that. And there were people around. It was not a safe space. I felt pressured. There was drinking involved. It wasn't good. That's probably something that happens, to especially two girls getting pressured into like having a sexual experience with each other in front of other people for them or for, This is also the same girl that put my tampon in for me for the first time because I didn't know how to do that. So I think a lot
friend, right?
For real, right?
Wow.
That also ties into like earlier when I was like I didn't know how to do things. Like I was afraid to put a tampon in. That kind of thing, Which we probably should be afraid of a tampon in because who knows what's in those.
Stop using tampons.
No, let's not.
Yeah, it's probably not good.
Yeah. Let's find a better way.
If you do want
sea sponges. Has anyone tried
make
sea sponges?
Yeah.
Seriously, as far as like education goes, like can we help like younger women not be afraid, first of all, of their own bodies, and then also figure out the best way to take care of them? That's not just like being this robotic system where it's like you're supposed to do this,
or at least explore the options.
Right. The biggest queer experience that I've had is the shop. You know what I mean? Because I think that it has been my safe space to be myself and create and invite other people in and give them a safe space to do what they, how itch whatever scratch they need to.
Yeah.
So I think that this has been my greatest queer experience because I've never had anything else like this.
I have definitely seen that in our community, people being able to come to you and come to the space and identify their fullest expression of self and literally put it on and walk out the door.
I love it. And it's like, that's like what gives me like the greatest joy is seeing that happen in front of me.
Speaking of which, this lovely outfit today is brought to you by...
Sponsored by...
Poor Girl Vintage.
And this jacket.
Oh, also this jacket, yeah. This is my shirt, but this jacket also expresses how full of myself I am. I've earned all these badges.
Cotton
I love this
Roundup.
one. Save it.